Again, this is your boy Nico Lion. I got some things I want to share with our people, specifically Black people around the world. Um, I got to talk about today um, a thing that we need to address in the community. It's going to be called, well, let's say not going to be called, but pertaining to education, self education, and gaining knowledge through like research and like through looking up stuff and making comparisons of what can a person do to improve their life as far as within their own means, right? So high income skills, right? Now what is a high income skill? Let me look and see what that is. What is a high income skill? Basically, a high income skill is basically something that exactly what it sounds like. It's something that you can teach yourself to make high levels of income, and basically it would exclude you from. The goal is to exclude yourself from like depending on being in a working class of just being able to apply for jobs and only doing menial work like pushing boxes around or scanning for groceries or doing a cashier job or working in a warehouse, that type of stuff like that. Um, or pushing carts, those type of jobs, right? The jobs that it takes literally nothing to apply. It takes no type of credentials or prerequisites to apply for, but yet it's always an available job usually because it's very easy to fill. Um, so high income skills is something that everybody in our community needs to understand about and like be aware that it exists. Because I remember back in like 2018 when I first found out about like skills and learning how to do certain things to make money other than just applying for jobs and going to be an employee, right? Because when you just at that level of just applying for just regular jobs, your value is not that particularly um, respected of making high income. You have to make your value more respected of making high income by learning and mastering your craft at one skill or another. And the ways you can do that. Now before we talk about the ways you can do that, first let's talk about why you would do that and how would you go about doing it, right? So how would you go about doing this? Well, like I said, you want to research. You want to do research. You want to first of all ask yourself some questions, right? You want to ask yourself some questions. Like first of all, has there anything that you have done since you were like a young kid that you particularly thought you were really good at, or that you had a lot of interest in doing, or that you thought that one day you might want to see yourself doing in the future, right? Like maybe you were always good at making art. You were an artist. You love drawing people. You love drawing flowers, or you love drawing portraits of people. That type of thing. Or you like drawing cars, whatever. Or maybe you were into sewing or knitting. Maybe you could, maybe you were into that. You saw yourself making clothes, making your own clothes one day, and those type of things, right? Or maybe you were the type of person to get old sneakers from the Salvation Army, or that you could purchase on eBay, and you wanted to like you were the type of person to spray paint the shoes and design like new designs on the shoes. You got some fresh pairs of white Air Force Ones, right? And you just design like different stuff on there. Maybe you use markers or you use paint or something like that. Maybe you were like somebody like that, like a creative person, right? So that's one, or whatever it was that maybe you thought that whatever when you were about that age, like, that really, some things that took your interest, right? And you want to ask yourself, well, if I had interest in those things and I was doing those things back then, and let's say you're working like a regular job right now, and you landed upon this video, and now you're asking yourself, how can you want to learn more about this high income skill thing, right? So you ask yourself, so what has there ever been anything I've been interested in since I was a little kid, like that I think that I might be able to like master or take more serious now, that I can like boost my value so that I don't have to just do a job where I use my body only. Maybe I could use my mind to do work or find work, or make my own, start my own things. Um, and you want to ask yourself those questions, and also combine that with research, and just keep um, combining that research and asking yourself introspective questions, right? And so, yeah. So you want to just go ahead and brainstorm those type of things. Take some time to reflect, and once you have done that, take notes, write some notes down. Maybe start a new journal for the next year coming up, 2023, and take these things down and try to find the things that you can turn into something that can become a high income skill in the next years to come, basically. Now, why would you want to do these things? Well, because first of all, maybe you want to break out of working 9 to 5 jobs, which high income skills would be a great avenue to do so. Um, Maybe you want to start your own company or your own business or your own side hustle using the internet. Um, and you figure that you landed upon my page, and you learning about high income skills, and you're finding that this sounds like something that you can use to make, first of all, make more money, which we all need to do, and get yourself um, enough skills to where you can make a living with those skills, basically. Now that's why. Now the other reason why our community, especially the Black community, needs to learn these things and learn that they're available is because a lot of us was not taught about like our our need to make our need to educate ourselves outside of high school and college and those type of things, because high school and college has not really, it doesn't really prepare you for in the case that jobs don't hire you, the specific ones that you want, or the ones that will help you make a living. um and so, and it also doesn't teach you about like to think outside the box, basically, um as far as making more income. And, our community, a lot of our parents didn't teach us that these opportunities existed. And I understand that like many of our parents were not aware of these things, but in the 90s, if I'm talking to mostly 90s babies here, around the late 90s, the internet came out. And if our parents were aware of that, that the opportunities began to exist on the internet, then they would have like tried to teach you how to take advantage of that, like how the other communities were doing, like the Asian community and like the Indian communities, because they were very on top of these new advances in the market and the industry. So they taught their kids that from the jump, like hey little Bobby, hey little Jeremy, you guys, hey little Sarah, you gotta at the age like 7 or 8, you got to work on this skill. What do you like doing? What do you think you want to do when you get older? You know what I'm saying? Remember they used to ask us these questions. What do you see yourself doing when you get older, right? And little Jeremy would be like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be somebody who makes cool things. You know what I'm saying? And mommy and daddy would be like, okay, yeah. And they already know because they probably a doctor or a lawyer or some, normal job like that. Not to say they don't make a lot of money, but those are normal jobs that you just go to school for. And most likely you can get because those are jobs that you just get a degree for. And usually you can just enter the industry because you have the prerequisites, right? But some industries require you to have skills, like high income skills, basically, and to be creative, right? So mommy and daddy taught little Jeremy and little Sarah that from a young age that they gotta make sure that whatever they want to do, that they start working at it now and take interest in it now. Like the same way they may take interest in playing outside or playing games and things like that, or going to play with their friends. Like they gotta make that interest, whatever they feel like they would want to do when they get older, a high priority. So the parents start fostering that at a young age, like so they can work on their value from a young age. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like many other black people, didn't only figure this out until like in our mid 20s. Excuse me. So it would have been a lot more advantageous to us, people like me, if we had figured these things out a lot earlier, because we would have been a lot more developed come our mid 20s, right? So if little Jeremy and little Sarah worked on these things for all these years, they they would be at a very highly competitive state that they could compete with other communities because they have worked on these skills for so many years. They're not new to it. Like if somebody was to learn this stuff now, not to say that's such a disadvantage, but it is a disadvantage in one way. But it's never too late. Number one, and number two, better late than never. And number three, even if you don't know these, if you even if you don't know this information, like when you're young and you end up learning it when you get older, it's just gonna take that much more effort to and more discipline and grit to like say, you know what, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna make up for all that lost time. I'm not gonna blame my parents because maybe they didn't understand. You know what I'm saying? Because they parents didn't understand. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a cycle that we, particularly my generation and people like me, I'm trying to break. I'm trying to show my people to like how we can break out of this intelligence deficiency and lack thereof, right? So we need to gain intelligence. We need to gain knowledge, and that's why we need to work on skills, because skills can translate to better life, better living, better income, versus being at the mercy of employers and applying for jobs versus thousands of other applicants, but you don't really measure up in a way to differentiate yourself 9 times out of 10, because all you can really do, a lot of people, is just what the employer's responsibilities on the job application says for you to do. And if you want to break out of that bracket of just doing what they say you're supposed to do, or what they allow you to do, and how much also they allow you to get paid. Notice I said how much they allow you to get paid, right? Then you have to take certain matters into your own hands. And then you'll find that opportunities and ideas and thoughts will start coming to you as you start getting into the habit of doing research, learning, educating yourself, using the internet to your advantage, not just for looking at YouTube videos, not just for watching TV and watching anime and things like that, or watching movies, whatever you do on the internet. Um, don't research it, because research ain't perfect, so you're not always going to find the perfect answer to your question. So in that scenario, you're probably going to have to be like, well, what do people need and what do they want. Like, maybe you can figure out a skill that can solve people's needs or provide their wants, right? And maybe you can research some skills that you will find through your research that will tie into that question of what do people need and what do they want, and what skills can I like. Maybe you'll learn on Google from your research what type of skills that they show you on Google that come up in the results to jog your imagination to answer the question of what people need and what do they want right now, and what skills can I make available to myself that will get me to be able to do that for those people, right? Which will lead to high income. So that's how you gotta really do it. You just gotta kind of ask yourself questions, combine that with research, combine that with brainstorming, combine that with your imagination, and combine that with the big question of what do people always need and what will people always want. Now we know, for example, I'm gonna just give this away because it's an industry that I found after asking myself these questions to be uh, a great resource of basically providing people's like what do they want or what would they always need. And that's the entertainment industry. You got your music, you got your movies, you got your books, you got your cartoons, you got your podcasts, you got all types of different entertainment. And entertainment happens to be a evergreen industry. Now, what is an evergreen industry? An evergreen industry is basically it's a type of industry that if you make the right type of product or if you can use the right skill to provide those people's wants or needs, or maybe you can improve upon what they need and want and they don't know they want or need, it will always be a lucrative industry, basically, the entertainment industry. You got your WWE, you got your UFC. Basically, I'm trying to get you to understand that industry has always been fruitful and there's always room for more. You know what I'm saying? There's always room for more entertainment. That's why you got new movies coming out every year. You got new TV shows coming out every year, new songs dropping every month. You know what I'm saying? New little toys and video games dropping every couple months. Why is that? Why don't people just get satisfied with just one release of 1 year, something come out, and they don't need no more after that? Because people's needs and wants change. And sometimes they stay the same, but they just want something to spice up what they used to. And that's where you can come in, where you can spice up what they used to and flip it on its head and make a new want and need that they didn't even know they wanted. There you go right there. See, I just gave away one of my secrets, but it's not really a secret because I'm sharing it. I want to share it with my people. You never know, I might spark your brain to get you to think in that imaginative state that I just talked about, where you gotta work with your imagination. So that's why we have these discussions, so we can bounce ideas off each other. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to talk about high income skills. Really, you could do your own research on that further and combine that with this video to really get you started with that. I talked about how you can go about doing this with high income skills, how you can look into it, why should you look into it, number two, and what they are. I touched on that briefly as well. And like I said, you can use your high income skills that you'll find, whether you find it through research or you find it through your imagination. Because this is the where now. We talked about how and why our people need it, the Black community, why we need it. Now I'm talking about the where. You can put to use your high income skills in a job you can you can elevate from a certain job that don't make enough money, or that only uses your body. You gotta be present at that job every day. You gotta punch the clock every day, and you still not making enough. And you only allowed to make only so much because you only could work 24 hours. You only could work a certain amount of hours in a day using your body. Because you gotta sleep. Um, so you can utilize those high income skills in a job, a new and better job, higher paying jobs, right? Or you can use those same skills that you start mastering, you start working on, that you start getting better at and practicing, right? To to start. Remember I said a side hustle, and then that side hustle can become a business, or that side hustle, or that business idea, or that hustle idea can become your living. You don't even have to work those jobs no more, which would be called self-employment. Um, which a lot of people these days are looking to get into because you know it's for some people that lifestyle is better for them, and some people it is too much to deal with. But like it just depends on the individual. But overall, e the reason why high income skills are so great is because you don't have to just, even if you're not into this whole side hustle thing or business thing, because it's not for everybody. But you can you can elect yourself to get a better job. Now, I'll be watching the news sometimes, and they be talking about like Joe Biden in the administration. They did, like, based on research and statistics, they were talking about like how the black community, especially, or African American community, they really lack of skills. Like, there's a severe skills shortage in the black community, right? Now, there's a skills shortage in the whole America, really, not just the black community, but especially the black community has like a lack in skills, like lack of um, learning about how to make more money with their minds, basically, not with going to work at Burger King or going to work at Home Depot. These little franchise jobs that really is working your back like a slave, like, and you really not getting paid what you should. I mean, what you could be getting paid, rather. But it's due to an intelligence, not an intelligence issue, but really a knowledge issue. Because just because you don't know something doesn't mean you're not intelligent, right? Let's correct that. I'm gonna correct myself. Excuse me. Um, so yeah, and so it's definitely a serious issue in our community where we need to gain more knowledge that is applicable to making a better living. Um, like I said, whether that's in the laptop class, as I call it, which is where you work with the computer. Well, you use your computer to, basically do a lot of your high income skills. Like, you got video editing, you got something called graphic design, you got something called um, marketing, digital marketing. You got something called SEO, um, and things of that nature. The laptop class is basically like, those people that work at Google and Facebook and you know, Pinterest, Instagram, where they, like, they work on the technology industry. Basically, they work with like the internet. They work on websites and things like that, and apps and stuff like that. But the laptop class is not only limited to the technology industry. It's also available to like the creative industry, like what I do as an artist and as a creative person. So like, whatever you might do that's creative, that utilizes a computer, could be the laptop class, which is where you get most of your income from doing work on your laptop, basically. Versus like an electrician who has to go to a house to fix the lights or fix the fridge's electricity or something like that, or a plumber. That would be called the blue collar class, right? So we need to open up our minds for new opportunities by gaining the knowledge to what's available to us, right? Because it's coming a time where you're gonna have people like me who are gonna be looking for people, because I have my own company and I'm looking for people to like help me, especially in our community, with their high income skills. Because like when these employers looking for people to hire, a lot of these industries they're looking for people to hire. A lot of black people don't have the skills that they're looking for, and that's why they get, uh, they get filtered to low income jobs, and that's another thing that the Biden administration was talking about. Like a lot of the black community has been filtered to just work low income jobs because that's all they can qualify for. So that's why we have to gain high income knowledge so we can elect ourselves for high income opportunity. And that's all I wanted to bring today. Feel me? I kind of did all of that. I did all of that off the top. I didn't write that down. I'm going to be starting to do some live streams where I talk about a lot of stuff on this channel and my other main channel. Nico Lion, that's my main personal channel, professional channel. This channel right here, well, I mean, I'm recording this for both channels, but I have another channel my other channel is called Lion of the Savannah Perspective. Lion of the Savannah Perspective, right? And that's basically a title that I named my recent book that I released. It's available on Amazon, where it talks about a lot of the stuff I'm talking about right now, but in written form. So whether you like to digest written material or video material, I have both. And it's basically, my mission is to like motivate people, black people especially, because a lot of people out there is not going to help you, and they're not going to motivate you, and they're not going to teach you or show you nothing. There's people out there that hate black people, particularly a lot of the people in these employer positions, right? That don't want you to know certain things. They would never show you how to learn those things either. They would never even tell you that it's out there to learn. You know what I'm saying? So, Lion of the Savannah Perspective is this mantra, this symbolism, this metaphorical title and brand that I created that basically stands for living your best life, achieving your best life, motivating yourself, motivating you. The channel and the brand stands for motivation. It stands for inspiring the people. It stands for education, spiritual enlightenment, and God. Walking in your highest purpose, understanding what purpose is, things of that nature. So it's very deep. I go very deep on very deep topics. We don't just stay surface level. You know what I'm saying? We going deep on topics because there's things that need to be talked about that's not really being talked about by a lot of communities, especially not our community. Because there's other communities that don't want to talk. They don't want to help our community. You know what I'm saying? They want us to be on the block, drinking 40s and drinking Henny bottles, throwing dice, and staying in that same cycle forever. And what does that do? That helps their communities make more money because they don't have no competition from our community. You know what I'm saying? Healthy competition or whatever you want to call it. So I'm trying to help out my people. I know you can't help everyone, but hopefully this video helps out not only our people, but even the people that's not a part of our community, like in the Asian community, white community, whatever it is, Indian community. Because really, my mission is to help all people, but specifically, I'm trying to target our people because we've been dealt the hardest blow ever since slavery, and before that, black people have always gone through a lot in this world unjustly, and there's people that want to keep it that way. And how would they keep it that way? There's other ways they try, but one of the main ways is through lack of knowledge and for ignorance. They want y'all to stay and us to stay in a perpetual state of ignorance where we get destroyed and we get walked over and we get conquered by our enemies and people that hate us, that will never want nothing good for our people, but single mamas and baby daddies and cokeheads and crackhead baby mamas, You know what I'm saying? And people dying at the age of 15, gun violence and stupid stuff like that, gang violence that don't even need to keep escalating and forever going on and just creating an endless blood cycle. That's what they want. A lot of these communities that hate us, they want that. So how do you combat that? You need to renew your mind. You need to change the way you think. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just letting y'all know that's the truth right there. It needs to be spoken on. Obviously, not everybody's gonna heed what I'm saying, but I pray that the Most High, God, he will reach the people, the right people, with this message, and really everyone everyone who needs to hear this, that they will be elevated by these words, and that they will be liberated by these words. Because if I had heard these words when I was 18, I would have avoided a lot of pain when I was growing up. But yeah, man, we got more videos coming, man. And we got more streams coming. So y'all stay tuned. We got a lot to cover in these next couple months and next year coming. I'm out. Peace. See y'all later.